Hey, I'm Matt Manny. Thanks so much for joining me for today's devotional thought. We're on day number 4, Pretend Life. Have you ever found yourself trying to hide behind a mask, hide behind, kind of a put-on, if you will? Whether it's at your workplace or maybe with family or certain friends, you found you really couldn't be yourself because you felt like you had to play a role, if you will. And maybe you felt that you just had to fake it if you could. Today we're going to hear a story about a guy by the name of Frank. Frank was actually a junior. He ran away from home at age 16. Well, for the most part, Frank grew up in a pretty stable home. His mom and dad loved him. They loved each other. But eventually they found themselves that they couldn't make their marriage work out. And so Frank ended up choosing to go with his dad when his parents split up. And Frank, as he saw his dad as a struggling businessman, he didn't want to live that kind of lifestyle. And so Frank, he ended up taking his dad's credit card one day, went to a gas station, and he had the gas station attendant, who was a friend of his, overcharge the credit card and then pay him the difference from the gas that he got. And so they took the money and they split it together, and Frank actually used this con multiple times over to steal thousands of dollars using his dad's credit card, and ultimately racking up so much debt that his dad couldn't get it paid off. This obviously put a strain on their relationship, and so at age 16, Frank ran away from home. The rest of the story, you can see that it's made up into a Hollywood movie called Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, a lot of those scenes are based on this real life story of a guy by the name of Frank Abagnale. And Frank, he ended up getting caught after stealing millions of dollars in cons, and he was eventually given a pardon by the FBI if he would go and be a informant for them, if he would help them to go ahead and figure out how other people would pull off these similar kind of cons. Frank says of his story, "I regret there was ever a movie made of my life." Frank Abagnale could be considered, in the words of an old classic sung by the Platters, the great pretender. Too many times people fall for this trap that if they could just be like the Instagram influencer, that if they could just have their life together, like the person who has the YouTube channel, we think, well, if we could just have our life look like that everything would be okay. You can look at people and you can see their lives and realize, well, it looks really good. It looks like everything's going well. But a lot of it, if you pull back the curtain, realize that a lot of it's just pretend. It's not real. Pretending to be someone you're not is not necessarily hypocrisy, but it's sometimes for us just to try to survive, just to get through life. But the reality is that God doesn't play games with us, that God doesn't pretend with us, and God doesn't want us to pretend with Him, with other people. God is not a fan of games. He doesn't want us to play games. And in Galatians 6:7, Paul challenges us not to be self-deceived. The choices that we make form us. The best question you can ask yourself today is, am I being honest with myself, with truly who I am? More importantly, ask yourself, am I being honest with God about who I am? Now, you can go through life and struggle to keep this mask on, just like Frank tried to keep up the cons, but eventually it caught up with him, and eventually it'll catch up with you at some point. The encouragement for us is this: we find that the key is living each day as if it were our last. Clarity comes when we focus on Jesus. If Jesus were to call you home to heaven and you were to find yourself standing before Him, how would you look back on your life? With reminiscence or regret that you tried to fake your way through, or you settled into who God created you to be and what He called you to do? Would you live by pretense, pretending to be someone you're not? Or would you live honestly before Jesus? My encouragement is this for you today: live today as if it were your last, understanding who you are and being confident in that. For more study, read 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Thanks so much for watching.